Good morning and welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, a narcoleptic comedian, and this is the podcast where I interview people in my bed remotely. And we talk about sleep, comedy, and relationships. This week, I interviewed fellow LA comedian and awesome person, Sarah Fatemi. We talk about vivid dreams, roast battle, dating apps, and hiking. Sarah also gives some great advice how to be efficient in quarantine COVID dating, which I kind of need because I haven't really been dating, guys. COVID life, you sacrifice things, it's okay. Also, some shout outs for Sarah. You should check out her kick-ass web series, Saffron and Rose, which is on YouTube. It's pretty much the Iranian Broad City. Definitely check it out. I'll put the link in the description of the podcast. You should also check out Sarah Fatemi on Instagram at Sarah Fatemi Comedy. That's SarahFatemi Comedy on Instagram. And on Twitter at Saraki June. That's SarAkiJune on Twitter. And of course, if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me at Sarah Albritton on Instagram and Twitter. If you like the podcast, please subscribe wherever you're listening to this. You're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Play, like basically wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate and review. Those mean so much to us. So please do that as well. If you want any more info on me, you can go to sleepysarah.com. We had a fun convo, and I can't wait for you to hear it, but there are a couple other things I would like to talk about for a couple minutes before we get into the interview, guys. And if you want to skip this part, it's like about 3 minutes, and then I get into the interview. But I got a platform, and I got to say some things that are on my mind, so listen up. There is a lot going on right now, and that, is such an understatement. I'm overwhelmed. I don't hope you're overwhelmed, but I think that you're overwhelmed. There is so much going on in the news. I just want to give you permission if you want to just stop looking at the news for several days or turn off your news notifications. I think that could be really good for people's mental health because it is overwhelming. I am still so sad. I know I didn't mention it last week, but I'm still so sad about losing Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That was tough. She did so many amazing things for women. I wouldn't be able to, sign a lease on my own. I probably wouldn't be able to have a credit card without all the things she did for women to pave rights for us. So important. She was a very big advocate for gay rights as well. She did so many amazing things. She was a badass, and she worked till the day she died and fought for us because it mattered. And so I want you to remember that you matter and your voice matters and deserves to be heard. And I know we can get so discouraged. I was a little bit discouraged this week. I was so upset regarding the Breonna Taylor case and the fact that only one officer was charged and not in relation to her murder, which I think was not fair, but it is so easy to get discouraged during these times. It is so easy to get down and sad and depressed. And that is why I'm saying, hey, if you find yourself just scrolling for hours, looking at news and Instagram and Facebook and just being like, what is happening with the world? Put your phone down. Take a walk outside. Enjoy the sunshine. Enjoy the air. Do what you need to do to be okay. I'm halfway using this as therapy for myself, which is really interesting because it's super public. But this is what I'm trying to do because it's a lot. As an old teacher of mine used to say, everything happens so much. Michael McCarthy, miss you so much. So I hope you're doing whatever you need to do, whether that's meditating, whether that's cleansing the energy of your apartment, whether that's smoking a ton of weed and forgetting about life, if it's working out, if it's spending time with friends, whatever it is, I hope you're doing it and taking care of yourself because we're living through a time, guys. And just know that you matter. You definitely matter. Your voice matters. Your vote matters. Please vote. Please register to vote. Early voting is starting for some states now. I know they start in California on October 5th, and I plan to vote early and in person. Okay. All right. So this isn't a political podcast, but I just felt the need to share something about the world and what's going on right now because it's a lot, guys. It's a lot, and I hope that this podcast could be a nice little distraction for you. We don't talk too much about politics. We talk about a little bit about how COVID affects stand-up, because COVID affects all of our lives in so many aspects. But we're not like going in long political rants. So I hope that you enjoy the podcast as a little bit of an escape from everything that's going on. And I genuinely hope you guys have a good day and a good week, and take care of yourselves. So let's get on and get started with this podcast. I'm really excited to share this interview with Sarah Fatemi. So let's get started with the show. Sleeping with Sarah. Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, and I'm here with my guest, Sarah Fatemi.
Sleeping with two Sarahs. What?
Yeah, exactly. How'd you sleep last night, Sarah?
I slept pretty good, you know. I've been having a couple like night terrors, but I'm feeling a lot better now. Like this is the first time in forever that I can't remember my dream, which is so weird. I always remember my dreams.
Oh, really? Oh, and night terrors. Those are tough. Those can be very scary. What kind of ones do you have
So I usually have these night terrors where like a guy that I don't like is chasing me. It was so weird. We were at this Target, and this guy like decided he was in love with me and he wanted to like marry me. And I remember it was so weird. It was a Target, but it was midnight. And you know how a lot of Targets have a Starbucks in the area? There was like a big crowd like congregated around it like it was the Abbey or something, and it was like a bar. So, and I remember yelling at people to help me, and no one would help me. And I like begged one of the employees, can I use your bathroom? And they like threw the key at me, and I ran downstairs and locked myself in the bathroom. And then the second part of this dream, it was like this, you know, I'm on these dating apps, you know, it's one of the guys that I'm dating. And because I'm apparently part of the FBI, I stalked this whole family on Instagram. It's a whole thing. And I had this nightmare that I got invited to meet his family. And, you know, his siblings were just being so rude to me and like so mean. And they like lived in a big mansion on top of a hill. Have you ever been to the Baldwin Hills steps?
No, I don't think I have yet. There's oddly not a lot of LA landmarks I have not been to yet, but I'm working on it.
Oh yeah. Well, if you like hiking, this is a pretty nice place. But like, okay, imagine Jack the Beanstalk, like really high up. And I also have a fear of heights. And I remember in this dream, I was also drunk. I had drank a lot of wine at this party, and his sister comes to me and hands me a tree log. And she's like, I want you to take this downstairs. And I'm like, all the way down these steps? She's like, yeah. And I'm like,
are you wearing heels too on top of it?
Yeah, girl. And I'm like, I'm drunk. I can't do this. And I take it one step at a time. And I remember I just freak out and I sit on the steps and I'm like, I can't do this. I'm scared I'm going to fall. And the guy and his brothers are over there and they're laughing at me. They're like, she's freaking out. It was crazy. And it was like, what is going on? And then I got a call from my mom. And she's like, your grandma's not doing well. And I'm like, what does all this have to do with anything?
Oh, well, so I will say your night terrors, I know that they're scary in the moment, but they sound hilarious.
I should like turn them into bits or something.
Yeah, you could just be like, you know, my night, you know, you could have like a series on your IG story or something. But no, yeah, so I think a lot of creative people have different sleep issues overall. Like that's why I started the podcast. Like I've got narcolepsy, and while I haven't really had night terrors, I have a lot of sleep paralysis and had like a lot of hallucinations that are scary. So I understand the feeling, and it's terrifying. But like I said, it's still, in retrospect, it sounds less traumatizing and more like fun for you to, recall it.
Very much so. Yeah. You know, unless it's like about a family member dying or something. But I think especially when I started taking Lexapro, you know, very low dosage, about, 10 milligrams, that's a side effect of that. Vivid, they don't say nightmares, but vivid dreams. And last night, I think I was just knocked out, but all like 99% of the nights, I remember my dreams, all of them.
Wow.
Whether they're good, bad, who was in it,
it's crazy because like your dreams like can last so much longer than you're actually asleep. And like, it's all this weird stuff. Like I had a crazy long dream last week where it was I ended up dating Liam Hemsworth for some reason, and I brought him home to my family, and then we had twins. We had twins, and we named them Barnum and Bailey, which is
No. So I'm Persian, and in Persian culture, if you have a dream that you had a baby, that means something in your life has been resolved, that there's a big problem that you've been let go of. And if you have a dream that you're pregnant, or yeah, if you have a dream that you're pregnant, that means you're going through a really hard period or you're stressing about something.
Well, I wasn't even pregnant in that dream because I'd had a gestational surrogate, and Liam's like, this is perfect because the paparazzi aren't going to bother us at all. And
yes. Well, that's a good thing. That means that you were relieved of something. You still had the baby. All that, and if you see blood in your dream, apparently. That's what my mom says. But
very cool. I like that's a very cool way to look at that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's true, but
so how have you been handling stand up with quarantine, and what have you been doing and all that?
Well, as far as stand up goes, just been doing Zoom shows. They're, obviously it's not the same as live stand up, but it's a good way to kind of keep the presentation fresh, and it's a lot of fun because you really feel like you're hanging out with your friends on a Zoom chat. I always feel better when I finish doing Zoom shows, and it's really cool, especially when the producers keep people's mics on, because you can hear the laughter and see them smiling when you say. So yeah, that, writing some new stand-up bits. I'm working on maybe about 45 right now. Just want to expand the material. And also I have been doing roast battle once a month. That is live at the Comedy Store in the Belly Room, but they live stream it. So the only people inside are me, my opponent, 3 judges, and Sarah Keller and Jay Light, who run the live stream and are the producers of the show.
That must feel very different for roast battle, because roast battle, I feel, is so much about the energy of the room and, things like that. So I don't know how you even tell. Like, how do you even tell if like a joke hits? Is it just make those 3 people laugh?
Yeah. And, also, like, we're reading the comments. Well, we're not, but, Jay and Sarah, they're seeing the comments on the live stream. But actually, my last roast battle, not my last one, 2 roast battles ago, Jeff Ross was one of the judges. And he was like, usually during roast battle, you hear a lot the crowd's reaction. And, you can tell which joke hits, which joke doesn't. But now I feel like I can really sit here and listen to the writing. I can listen to the actual joke and make my judgment based off of that. And
that's a different way to look at that. Yeah.
And both are good for 2 different reasons. I will say roast battle really helped my stand-up because, first of all, as far as the joke writing goes, I mean, people think it's about being mean and hurting your opponent. It's not. It's just it's a different muscle. You're writing, it's a different style of joke writing. And that really helped expand my ideas. And also the physicality of it all. Obviously, with COVID, during our quarantine battles, we have to stay on the mark that they've marked for us. We're not allowed to move, no hugging. And but, during the regular roast battles, we're moving around, we're getting loose, we're like getting the crowd involved. And I used to be the most awkward comic, Sarah. I used to, despite having done dance for like 12 years of my life, I would stand on that stage, I'd have my material, but I'd be like this. I'd be like a little hermit. It was, I was just not comfortable with my body movements. But roast battle really helped me loosen up and just kind of be able to own the stage. And so, yeah, they're both great for different reasons. And I really attribute a lot of my stand-up advancement to that. So,
yeah, I know a lot of people that speak really highly of roast battles. I have still yet to do one. I actually had a friend that was in town early March, and I had emailed a little too late to try to, because he challenged me to do a battle. He's from New York. And I was like, well, that I could do, but it ended up not working out timing wise because they were full the week he was doing it. But I've always been a little hesitant because I was like a kid that was made fun of and never had good comebacks. Like, I know a lot of comics like come up because they were like funny growing up. I was not funny growing up. I was outgoing growing up, but I didn't find that it was funny till later, if that makes sense. So I feel like for some reason that could like bring me back to some weird way and I'd be bad at it because I've never been good at being mean to people.
Oh, so don't think of it as being mean to people. Think of it as a joke writing exercise. And whoever, I mean, you can definitely email right now. They're looking for people and they'll set you up with someone who's also like you, never done it before. And I mean, it's, the roast battle community, we're all friends, we're all family. You usually don't bring something up that's going to really hurt someone. Like if someone specifically asks you, please don't bring that up, they're going to respect that. And, I mean, you give them the information and the material and say, this stuff is fair game. So it's not about being mean. It's just about the structure. And yeah, I think everyone should try it at least once.
I know. Mark has been trying to get me to do it. He's like, you should do it, especially with COVID. It'll be.
Look at it as like Jerry Springer or Maury. Your job is to entertain. It's literally not even about winning or losing. It's about putting on a great battle. Because the judges, so if you win, but the jokes really weren't that good, I mean, the judges will be like, yeah, you won, but you shouldn't be proud of yourself. But if you put on a good battle, literally, that's happened before.
I know.
But
What's your record? What's your record, by the way?
Including quarantine battles, I think I'm 10-4.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good record.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm ranked number 26, but quarantine battles don't count toward the ranking. So, yeah. I went into triple overtime this last quarantine battle and double overtime before. So, you just get so comfortable with it. And
no, it's like a muscle. I will try it. Man, now I'm holding myself accountable. I will try it. Maybe, what's a good timeline? I'll try it by the end of the year. Here, that's what I'll say.
Of course. Yeah, it's great. And then, once you've been on that stage in front of an entire rowdy crowd of people either, booing you or, a joke not hitting, no stage is going to scare you. So it's a good block it's just a good thing to try.
It absolutely. And where did you move here from? Are you from LA originally?
I'm from Ohio. I'm from a town called Toledo. Well, city. South of Detroit, but yeah, Northern Ohio. I've been here for 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to pass Toledo on the megabus.
You're from Chicago, right?
I'm from Louisville, but moved to Chicago. I started comedy in Chicago, and then
Louisville, Kentucky.
Yep, Louisville. We had the
so you don't have that accent though, that Southern accent.
No, I don't, because I went to theater school. I did after school, theater kind of conservatory program, in middle and high school. And so they told us that Shakespeare doesn't sound too good with the Kentucky
My family recently moved to Memphis, Tennessee. And, the accent is cute, though. I will say that.
Oh, so your family moved to Memphis. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's so weird. People will tell me I have an Ohio accent, like a straight up Toledo, Ohio accent. And it's like, how do you know that? What about do you notice something about my talking?
I've never been as good with noticing that. I think I notice it when I go back home from from whatever city I'm around, because we're such a hodgepodge of different things. LA, people move from wherever, so there's not really an LA accent.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like when I go back home, though, I can so hear it. Even my sister-in-law, I'm like, oh, yeah, I can definitely hear a little bit of country in the way they talk. It's not that bad because it's Louisville. It's not like we're not out in the boondocks or anything, but it's.
Are you guys considered the Midwest or the South?
It's confusing. It's kind of both. Some people consider Kentucky the South. We're a bit of Southern. I don't know. It's a mix of both, to be honest.
Yeah, Ohio's kind of the same way, but I'm from Toledo, which is all the way up north. It's borderline Michigan, so we're definitely the Midwest. But Southern Ohio, they have an accent, so it's kind of it's definitely a different culture down there.
But I love Louisville. Louisville's been a really great town to a lot of people I know, young couples and families move there. That's great, but that's a whole Midwest thing. It's get married, have a family, have the kids and dogs and stuff, and that's the dream.
Oh yeah, that's the Ohio dream for sure. But I don't know, I could never get down with that. My dream was always to come out here and pursue comedy and the entertainment industry.
So you
you
didn't
know?
do comedy until you moved to LA?
No, I don't even know if Toledo has like open mics and stuff. I know they have the Funny Bone Theater where they'll bring famous people, but yeah,
I think they definitely do have some mics and stuff there. I've done a lot of shows in Cleveland has a pretty good scene, so I think Toledo had somewhat of a good scene, but I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I started in LA and 6 months after I moved, and I've been in love with it ever since. So, yeah.
Great. And you've gotten to work on some cool shows while you've moved here too, right?
Yes, yes. I most recently was a story producer on Shaws of Sunset, and I've done, done some auditions for other shows and filmed some sketches and created my own web series, which won some awards, and Saffron and Rose, which was kind of like the Iranian Muslim Broad City. So I'm definitely, thank you. Yeah, I'm looking to hoping to work on some new projects, but yeah, we're just doing it all.
Very cool. So for people that don't know, what does the story producer do exactly on a show?
So for reality TV, this is for Bravo TV. We work in post production. So we look at the raw footage, we edit it, down to the hour, 45 minutes. And my job was specific because I'm Persian, so I speak Farsi. And so, Shahs of Sunset, it's about Iranians in LA. And so a lot of the times if the parents or they said something in Farsi, they didn't have to settle for Google Translate. Like I could just tell them what they said and they'd put the subtitles. So.
And it's a little better than Google Translate because you could also use context and understand that this is like a slang. This really means this. And
yep, exactly.
Yeah, that's very cool. So like,
thank you.
So you basically so you determine the story after everything's filmed and you just determine how to cut it and edit it. It just shows you how much editing really makes a difference with all that.
It's just there's a lot of raw footage and it just needs to be edited down per, because we can't air the whole raw footage for,
And that gets kind of boring. I get that. I think one of them does it, like Big Brother or something does that. I think like a 24-hour cam in their house, but that's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I only like the Celebrity Big Brother with like Farrah Abraham, Trisha Paytas, where they like fight and stuff. It's my favorite.
Haven't seen that. I'm bad with reality TV. I think I mostly just try to watch pilots and shows. I've been watching Woke lately, which is really,
I have heard so many good things about it. I have to check it out.
It's so great. And shout out to T. Murph. He's a comic from Chicago that moved to LA and he's on it. He's one of the series regulars. But it's a really great, unique, inventive show that is a really great combo of great comedy, really funny comedy, and also like makes a point that is really important right now. So there's a good mix of both. So it's not like super heavy. It's heavy at the moments where it needs to be, but it's also incredibly funny. So I love that.
Yeah. You said his name was Teamer?
Teamer.
Teamer. Okay, cool.
MURPH.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a really fun show. But I've been watching that lately, and I think I watched Cobra Kai. And there's a couple other things. Oh, and I watched The Social Dilemma, which I don't know if you've seen that yet, but
no, what is that?
It's a documentary on Netflix about social media and how, like, basically all the horrible things you suspect, like they confirm that that's what's going on. And it really makes you want to like turn off all your notifications.
Yeah. I recently watched Cuties, so I'm going to jail. I'm
curious because it was such a big controversy, but I kind of looked at it as I thought it was a commentary on it, and the point of it was that the sexualization of girls are wrong. So I'm not sure.
I understand the point. The point they were trying to make makes sense, but I'm not sure I agree with the type of filming. I mean, they didn't have to zoom in so much on their butts. It did come off as exploitative, but you're right. The point, I understand the commentary they were trying to make, but it could have been done in a more tame way.
And low key, honestly, I kind of half wonder if they on purpose did that poster so it would be controversial.
Yeah, that's true. Well, marketing is everything, and I mean, everyone's got an opinion, so.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I remember, I remember seeing 13 with Rachel Evans, like would, when she was a kid. And I remember watching that, and that seems like it's kind of worse in terms of the content that they have, maybe, but I don't know. I haven't seen the other one.
No, I mean, I've seen both. Cuties definitely blows that out of the water.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think with the 13, it's just more like what they were talking about. No, Cuties is definitely several levels above 13 as far as.
And I also think it's ridiculous that they're like, oh, Hollywood is so this and that, but it was a French movie made with a foreign company, and the fact that they're trying to cancel Netflix, this is not a Netflix original film. It's not like, I think it's kind of a weird balance of that. And but yeah, I mean, I agree that stuff, if it's too, disturbing, I could kind of get that it's a little much, but they're also French, so it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, they start early.
It's weird. I feel bad. Like, I'm so glad I didn't have to go through 7th grade with social media.
So, yeah, I mean, I remember in middle school, MySpace was just coming out, but I wasn't allowed to have a MySpace because my mom said it was because of safety, but like, I think I had some friends who were being bullied, and like talking to the parents, she knew that. So I found a loophole, and freshman year of high school, I made a Facebook. And I mean, you saw the same thing, social media bullying, but like you said, I'm really happy that it was like Facebook and MySpace when we were in high school and stuff was the extent of it. Like Instagram didn't come around, Twitter didn't come around till college. I can't imagine kids nowadays. Like, I have a cousin, she's 13 years old, like, because that's just like right in your face, And
I know people that would lie about their age too to get other apps earlier. I didn't have a Facebook until college, And looking back, I'm like, well, I'm glad I don't have a lot of those photos up from high school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I felt like we had the generation. Like, I didn't have a smartphone until after college. Like there's like other like I think I got like a BlackBerry or something, like something old,
The BlackBerry.
Like something ridiculous. Like, it was different then. And now it's like we have all these things in our pockets that just ding all the time. And it's a lot.
4th graders with cell phones.
It's crazy. But the documentary is really good. I do recommend watching that. It's different, but man, quarantine's just kind of changed life so much. But I am hopeful that things are starting to film again, right? And hopefully things are going to start getting back.
Yeah, there are sets right now. Actually, I just saw on Rob McElhenney's Insta story, I guess It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I think It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is coming back. I don't know if it's his other show, but they're back on set. And yeah, I think right now it's very controlled. I have a couple friends working on different shows, and it's like 50 people max. Now with reality TV, that's different because they're, first of all, you don't get the good drama unless they're less than 6 feet apart, and, going into cast members' houses and stuff like that. And so that's more challenging. But as far as scripted stuff goes, yeah, things are, thank God, like kind of coming back. So
well, that's what people use TV to get through all of this. So that's the thing. Like, I'm really excited when all this is over. People are really going to want to laugh and need entertainment from comedians. I just hope all the clubs survive until then.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And, kudos to the comics who've been taking it into their own hands and, going to the internet with their content because, I think the ones who survive are the ones who adapt. So,
yeah. I think so. It's a lot of pivoting.
Like this podcast. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I completely get it. Yeah. Yeah, just writing new projects. And do you do sketches as well? I mean, you do. I know. Do you do acting?
Sketches and I act in. Yeah, I've been I started acting before I did comedy. So I was acting when I was like a kid and went to theater school and all that. So practical. But actually, looking back, based on what happened with our generation anyways, it didn't matter what I went to school for, so I had fun. And then I discovered when college, I kind of discovered improv and sketch. So I started that. And then after college, I started stand-up. After I've been doing improv and sketch for a little bit, transitioned to stand-up, did that. And that it would be about like 6.5 years now, but I think I'm just I haven't really done a ton since quarantine. I've done some Zoom shows, but I am interested in some of these outdoor shows that are socially distant. I know there's a couple, so that's also interesting if you bring your own mic, and these other shows where I guess people are behind a glass wall and stuff like that. There's some other things happening. I guess last night at the Comedy Store, I guess Josh Adam Myers is performing behind the glass wall in the front. So
I saw that.
They're doing different things like that. So I think people are trying to find ways to bring comedy to people. And these other bigger acts, like Hannibal's doing a drive-in show, you know, in Ohio and like the Midwest, like a drive-in theater show. You know, so
man, I love Hannibal Buress. I love him.
Yeah, he's great.
He's so funny. Yeah. Yeah, you know, we adapt and we create new stuff, and
that's all we can do. It's like a weird time. Have you found yourself doing any weird hobbies during this time?
Crying and eating Ben and Jerry's. No, but I've actually, you know, besides like working on, you know, new content and stuff, trying to work on my body, because, you know, quarantine pounds. And I know this shouldn't be a hobby, but I've actually finally learned how to be productive with dating. So, okay, in the beginning of quarantine, yeah, it's weird. I probably should pick a different hobby like yoga or something, but this is something I
think that's good. I mean, like I haven't really been dating that much. I went on a couple of quarantine dates like a month ago. I went on 3 dates and I was like, I'm not in love with quarantine dating because it's like masked. And there was one where we were socially distant and that was probably the best one, but it's like, it's still like weird. So what apps do you use? What's your efficiency? You said you've become very productive with it. So I want to know your what apps you use. What's your strategy if you have one?
Okay, so when I first moved out to LA at 23 years old, I was like, I'm going to find my Prince Charming. I'm going to find the perfect boyfriend on Tinder. Okay, someone slapped this bitch across the face. No, the Tinder is like the clearance rack of like the worst, you know, clothing store ever. It's like kind of the garbage disposal outside. So do not go on Tinder, you know, unless you're looking for, you know, something quick and fun. And there's no shame in that at all. Nope. But for, you know, so I wouldn't do Tinder, no Bumble, because I don't know, for me, Bumble is fake. I mean, for some people it's worked, but like, I don't know, I just never get any responses when I reach out. And a lot of the profiles just seem like ultra glam. It's like, okay, is this a person or is this a bot? Yeah. And then Hinge, I was on a few dates from Hinge, but right before the pandemic hit. And it's like one of those weird things where you meet up with a guy and it goes really well. And then you just never end up seeing each other again. And it's like, but I thought. And so I started getting really frustrated. And then my friend Mia Mars recommended OkCupid. This is going to totally sound like a promotion app. I'm not getting paid, but I should be. No. Okay. So in the beginning of quarantine, I was on OkCupid. Yeah, I deleted all the dating apps and then went on OkCupid. OkCupid is cool because you answer a ton of questions, and it ranges from what's your stance on gun control to, you know, how many times a day do you masturbate, like really intense sexual questions and, you know, political questions and, you know, your background and all that kind of thing. And you can rate the importance of the question, and you don't feel pressured to answer all of them, or, you know, you just get more accurate results when you do that. And then when you're swiping, you see your percentage match with that person based on what they've answered. And so I know not to even waste my time, you know, below like 85%, maybe even 90% because it's LA. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people out there.
Yeah. I remember OkCupid. So OkCupid was one we used to do in Chicago. It's interesting how regionally things are very different. Like how certain apps, like people don't use Yelp that much in Chicago, but they use it a lot in LA now. And OkCupid was one I did use for a while in Chicago. And then that was kind of like, that was okay. You know, like there were good matches. That is a good point. And I'm very curious how many, if I re-logged in, I don't know if I still have an account, but if I re-logged in, if I could see what my old answers were and how much they might have changed, because it's been years since I've been on it. So that'd be very
Right.
interesting to see how much I might have changed in terms of what I would accept, like politically, because I probably haven't been on it since before Trump was became our president. So it'd be really interesting
Wow.
to see, because I joined it for a while and then kind of just stopped. But and what do you do like for quarantine dates? It just feels like, oh, like you can go hiking, you can like go to a cafe outside or go for a walk. It seems like or picnic. They're very basic, like fewer things to do.
So here's the thing. I started dating, quarantine dating was just FaceTime dating, like
Oh.
from the end of March through like early, July. Yeah, because, the pandemic, obviously, it was really bad and it got really bad in LA, like in May, I think. And so, you do your makeup, you do 20 minutes or an hour, depending how long. There was one guy I really liked. We dated for like a couple months. We had like 6-hour dates, like just talking. But when we ended up deciding we didn't want to proceed, it just all came crashing down like crap. That felt like a waste of time. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to make the most of this. From now on, I'm only going to accept for the first several dates, like the first 3 dates, or for each guy, it's only going to be a hiking date. Because also for me, like I'm really, I have struggled with my weight in the past. I've tried, lowering my carb intake and trying to get active, but also like it's really hard to get motivated, when the gyms are closed, when how do you motivate yourself?
Buddies to hike with. That's what I try to do. So I didn't know you're a big fan of hiking. I'm always down to hike. So if you want to go hiking some point, let me know.
Yes.
Yes. So
100%. Yeah. So when and the thing is, you feel so good about it afterwards, whether or not you liked the guy or whether or not you want to continue. If it ends up not working out, you're like, well, yeah, that didn't work out, but honey, this booty's still looking good. So,
I did go on one hiking date and that was fun. And I thought he was cool, but I felt more of a friend vibe than like more than a friend. So, but it was still, I enjoyed the conversation. It was cool to chat with. It was fine. And we enjoyed a nice hike. So
did you regret it? Does your ass regret it?
My ass does not regret it, Sarah.
We need to go. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. It's a date. What is your middle name, by the way? Because your first name's Sarah.
I do not have a middle name, actually. I know, right? It's so weird. It's because my parents are from Iran. And in Iran, you usually don't have a middle name unless you take like your father's first name as a middle name. It's really weird. But the irony is like my parents were going to give my little sister Lily a middle name. I don't know, but it's like, how weird is that? Like I wouldn't have a middle name, but she would. It was just something they didn't, it's not cultural.
I didn't realize that. So that's interesting because I'm always curious because I've met a couple other Sarah Janes. I'm a Sarah Jane, my middle name,
Sarah
but
Jane.
I'm always curious with the Sarah. So no middle name. That's cool.
No, it's very pretty. I will say, and this is like, in Iran, in the Middle East, in Iran, they have a thing called Sayed, which is like, kind of like, how Jewish people have tribes like Ben and Levi, and it's, who you're related to in the Islamic prophecies. And like, I'm a Sayed. So if I was born in Iran, it would be Sayed Sarah Fatemi. But I was born here, so my birth certificate's just Sarah Fatemi. So, yeah. So, I mean, there's that. It's like a pre-name. So,
that's
yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, no.
Well, I remember one of my good friends growing up, she got married. She ended up marrying a guy from Pakistan, so she had to change her name. And his mom and his sister got to pick her new name. So she was Kim, and now she's Sophia. And so I remember that because we went to her wedding as a kid. We went to one of her weddings. I remember I thought it was a big deal because mom's like, well, she had 3 weddings. And I didn't get it till I was older and I knew people that were of different faiths. Like I understood that's like the process. Probably had a wedding back in Pakistan and a wedding in the US and all this stuff. But we went to one of her weddings and I remember I thought it was weird that I had to call her a different name now.
Yeah, I've never actually heard of that. I know in Iran, it's definitely not that. No, I mean, yeah, that's really interesting. I would never change my name. And I don't even want to if I get married, I don't want to take the guy's last name. I want to keep it Sarah Fatemi.
Well, another thing she had to do was, I think she had 4 kids. And so for each of the kids, she didn't technically name her own children. It was his sister and his mom that got to name her children, but they picked names that she liked. So that was good. But it was, yeah, very, very interesting. But they're like really good friends. But I thought that was really cool because my mom is from a small ass town, like a town with 15,000 people. And it's very cool that one of her friends, that she, just culturally being exposed to something like that as a kid just helps you understand people more, if that makes sense.
Like 100%.
But
oh, of course, I'm from Ohio, and I think that's kind of one of the beauties of having grown up in Ohio and having the opportunity to travel back and see family in Iran every year. So, it's kind of like the best of both worlds. Yeah, I mean, I'm really grateful for the exposure I got to have. But do you think you would change your last name if you got married? Would you keep it Albritton?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I'm like debating, like, I think I want my kids to have my last name.
Seriously,
like, I mean,
our mans are not. Yeah.
I mean, I'm an Albritton through and through. Like, I'm a little bit stubborn. I'm passionate. I can be, loud. Like, I'm very much an Albritton, and that's like a thing in our family. And both my sisters that have gotten married, both got divorced again. They have partners now. They're twins, by the way, and they're married. They're dating best friends, which is like so random, but they probably won't get married again. So it's like they're all Britons too. So it's, I don't know. I kind of feel like I definitely keep it all Britain.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, I don't understand. I don't know why do women change their last names? Is it a religion thing? Like, I never understood that. Don't you kind of feel like you're losing a part of like your personal identity? I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I think it probably stems from back when like they saw it as more of a property exchange, that sort of thing. Like, she belongs to your family name now. It's like she's your responsibility. Back like when that was when marriage was more of a transaction.
Yeah. One of my really good friends back in the Midwest, she doesn't, she had no problem changing her last name at all. She was waiting for it because she doesn't have a good relationship with her dad. So, and she's in love, she has an amazing marriage, and she was really happy to change her last name. So, it works for different people. So, yeah.
I don't know. I think depends on the kids, like what I want, but I almost wouldn't want kids with having my last name. That's so strange, but
that would be really cool. Yeah. Why not?
Why people don't do that? Like, why not? But I don't know. I haven't thought too much about that stuff, but I feel like all that stuff will happen when it's supposed to happen. But
have you had
awkward COVID dates then? Like you said you recommended hiking. Any dates you don't recommend?
FaceTime. It's a waste of time. Like, at least get your steps in when you're having a conversation. My hiking dates have been pretty good. That's why I like them so much. But before, when I was doing FaceTime dating, first of all, I matched with a guy who identified as a mermaid.
Wait.
Never ended up talking to him.
Identified as a mermaid.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like, wouldn't it be merman? Anyway, I did a FaceTime date with a guy who I thought he was gorgeous, and this was Hinge, by the way, and this made me delete Hinge. Gorgeous guitar player, suave, ooh la la. I thought he was so deep. And then I go on this FaceTime date with him, and he's dressed like Ash from Pokemon with that bowl, like outward hair that guys used to have in middle school in the early 2000s. And he's just like, yo, COVID was created by the government. And like, talking about gravity bongs, and he's just like, yeah, peace and love and like animals. And I was like, I need to go. But my favorite one was a 32-year-old man who I went on a date with, who loves cats. Nothing wrong with that. He had 2 cats of his own. And then halfway through the date, he goes and he gets cat ears, puts them on his head, and he goes, I just like to work like this sometimes. And I'm like, okay, cat ears, cool. And then he lifts up his paws and he starts pawing at the camera. And I'm like, you know what? Meow, but no. That was definitely one I'll remember, like a 32-year-old cat man.
Well, it's so interesting because it's like, I think back before COVID, you could go on a date with someone, they could act kind of normal, and then later you'd find out that they like to pretend to be cats in their apartments. So it's almost like, it almost like saves you a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and FaceTime, it was the middleman. It does that. You don't have to waste gas and time, and the men, well, if the guys pay, they don't have to waste money if it doesn't work out. That's why hiking is the perfect date. Everyone gets a workout in. No one spends money unless you're going to coffee beforehand. And everyone should go on a hiking date. Everyone should find their mates through that.
Yeah. You should make a app. Hiking mate.
Literally.
Hiking
and
mate.
it's motivating. Did you just give me an idea?
Yeah, I think that's hiking mate. The new dating app, hiking mate.
Yo, you want to discuss now after we get cash in? Yeah.
Let's talk to developers.
Literally. I mean, when you stop thinking of them, you might get dolled up a little bit, but when you stop thinking of them as dates and more as hiking buddies and workout partners and motivation to get your ass in shape, it just feels a lot better, and it takes a lot of pressure off.
Yeah. And accountability is important too. And at like worst case scenario, you meet another friend that also likes to hike, and you guys do that together. So
yeah, seriously. Yeah. And I would love to go hiking with you as soon as this air quality clears up, because idiots have to have a gender reveal party. And, as if anyone cared about little Timmy's genitals, I hope his dick falls off.
I know. At the very least, I think this is officially the end of the gender reveal stuff. So good. I'm about to have a new niece or nephew, and my brother and sister-in-law have been really smart about not finding out the gender beforehand. And
that's good.
And so then all the baby clothes they used for Ellis, who is a girl, she's the first baby they had, they could reuse for this next baby, first off, and they still dress her pretty gender neutral. She actually posted a thing on her Instagram today about the difference on the guys' shirts and the girls' shirts. Like the girls' shirts were saying like, smiling, or, daddy's girl. And the boys were like, vote for me. And, I can do anything and stuff like that. It's like, wow. Like, no wonder guys have that like straight white male confidence. Like,
yeah. Well, you know what? If they really want to have a gender reveal, they can do a cake. And a delicious cake with blue or pink. That's good. Yeah, that sounds smart. Good.
Yeah.
Good. No more fires, please.
No more fires.
Before. Now we can't breathe when we go outside. Like, I have to, we all wear masks anyway, but at this point, even by myself, if there's no one else in the street, I still wear a mask because it's just so damn hard to breathe.
Yeah, I know. But thankfully, some of the ones actually do help protect against the air quality. So that's good. But I hope everyone's doing okay because of the fires, and I hope they don't get worse. I hope things improve. Like, a lot of hope. Just trying to hope. I'm a positive. I go to positive. That's my typical switch.
Good.
Well, now we're kind of closing down to the end of the podcast. I always ask people, I know we talked a little bit about dreams earlier, but what are your dreams and hopes for your future?
Dreams and hopes for my future? Well, a vaccine would be great. But yeah, I am working on a new pilot, hoping to shop around Saffron and Rose a little more and getting my hour of stand-up in. And yeah, we're going to make it, baby. We're both going to make it and find love and have great sex, and God bless LA. Woo!
Yeah, those are great. I love the way you did that, and you got like more excited beyond. It's like, that is fantastic. Oh, that's so great. You're writing a pilot and prepping for all the other things. Are you writing the Saffron and Rose pilot, or are you writing something different?
Oh, no. So Saffron and Rose has been already distributed. It's been shot, and it's been
web series, right?
Yeah. Well, if you put all 3 episodes together, though, it plays as a pilot. So,
okay.
Yeah. Cool. The new pilot, though, it's definitely in the very, very early stages. And so hopefully I can talk about that when I come back next time.
That's awesome. Those are great goals. And that's the way I love to do it. Positivity. We're going to get through this. We're using this to work on our creative stuff. And so, well, thank you for sleeping with me for the podcast. And we always have to say good night. So good night, everybody.
Good night. Love you. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Sleeping with Sarah, where I slept with Sarah Fatemi. Be sure to follow Sarah on Instagram at Sarah Fatemi Comedy and on Twitter at Saraki June, and check out her web series Saffron and Rose. If you like the podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe. I'll be releasing a new podcast each week, so tune in to find out who I have in bed with me next. A big thanks to Josh Bryant for the music. If you want to find out more about me, go to sleepysarah.com or follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Sarah Albritton. Remember, Black Lives Matter, climate change is real, and everyone deserves equality. Until next time, good night.